Ed Hernandez is an engineering teacher and director of Tustin High School's T-Tech Academy of Technology and Engineering, where he turns out several engineering students that attend amazing schools each year, including UCI. Many of these students would never have seen themselves as an engineering candidate without him, and the world would have missed out on their talents. According to the assistant superintendent of the Tustin Unified School District, Ed not only has used his electrical engineering degree from UCI to contribute professionally to the field, but he has also taken direct action to impact engineering and the world in the strongest way possible. He teaches and motivates students to be engineers on a grand scale. He has undoubtedly made a ripple effect that has changed hundreds of lives for the better. In the 16 years since becoming a teacher, Ed has been recognized with numerous awards, including Tustin High School's Teacher of the Year, Orange County's Engineering Teacher of the Year, OC Parenting Magazine's High School Teacher of the Year, and California's Career Technical Education Teacher of the Year. After earning his bachelor's degree in 1991, Ed entered the semiconductor industry working in applications and technical support. After 13 years, he still loved technology but felt that he belonged elsewhere. Ed pursued a master's in education at night and quit his job to do student teaching. It was a leap of faith for him, but I think we can all agree that it was the right move. Ed is a first-generation college graduate who is now using his experiences to help a new generation of college hopefuls achieve their goals. On behalf of the UCI Samueli School of Engineering, I am pleased and proud to present this award to Ed Hernandez in recognition of his induction into the 2021 Engineering Alumni Hall of Fame. The award, shown here, will be mailed to you since we're not yet able to celebrate in person. Ed, congratulations. Please tell us what this latest recognition means to you.
Oh gosh, it really means the world to me. I am a proud UCI alum, as evident. I mean, everybody knows I went to UCI. The license plate on my car says UCI engineer. So it is beyond words to be recognized by the schools, by UC Irvine School of Engineering, which is, it was a huge challenge to get into, and even bigger challenge to get out of with a degree. It means the world to me.
That's great. Do you have a fond or favorite anteater memory from your time at UCI you'd like to share?
Sure. I think the living on campus was probably the overall biggest, it had the biggest impact on me. It was my first time away from home, first time really far away from home. So I had to live on campus with a variety of people that I wouldn't have never otherwise met. It was a time to grow emotionally, academically. It was a huge challenge. It was eye-opening in every respect, from meeting the different kinds of people to realizing that I was probably in over my head the minute that I got in and sat in my first class. So living on campus, I think it just gave me the traditional overall college experience, and that will continue to have an impact in my life for the rest of my life.
Great. And during that experience, was there a particular class or professor who inspired you?
I think that there was one class in particular that only electrical engineering majors and physics majors take, and that's special relativity. And for those that don't know, it's what happens as things travel close to the speed of light. It is kind of arcane in some ways. It is not something you would use every day, which is probably why only those two majors have to take it. But it was incredibly complex and counterintuitive, super difficult, yet it was very, very exciting and super interesting. I still remember that I had a D during the midterm. So it was, as many other classes, it was a midterm and a final, right? And my roommate and I, the 4 days before the final, we just kind of locked ourselves and started hacking away at it. Because it was one of the first times that I was really interested in the subject matter, but I wasn't able to master it no matter what I tried. But we started on a Friday, kept at it Saturday. Sunday night, the final was on Monday, it just clicked. All of a sudden it clicked, and I started getting the first problem. Oh, okay, this is good. And then the second one, and then the third one. And Monday morning I went in, super confident, knowing that it was probably the first time in my life that I had actually mastered something incredibly difficult, and I was 100% prepared. And I got 100% on the final. I got a B plus for the class, and I wish I'd gotten a B plus on every class, but that was an experience I still relate to my students today. It's like, hey, look, it may take you a while, but I know from experience that it is possible to succeed.
What a great story. Thank you. Moving closer to the present, what are some of the challenges you face now as a high school teacher? And likewise, what have been some of the rewards from your teaching career?
Gosh, if you were to ask any teacher, you'll get a whole list of challenges, right? As you had mentioned, moving into teaching was kind of a leap of faith. I really didn't know if I was going to be any good at it. I didn't know if I had the skills necessary to do it. I just thought that it would be a good fit for me. I started as a math teacher because after 5 years of math and physics, I figured, hey, I could do this. And then I was lucky enough to transition into the engineering academy. But really, student engagement is by far the biggest challenge that I see, and a lot of my colleagues see as well. And this is regardless of subject matter, because we've all asked ourselves, when am I ever going to use this math and science stuff, right? And they don't use the word stuff, but when am I ever going to use this? And I remember asking myself that same question: when am I ever going to use this? Because my God, it's a chore. Right? It is difficult, it is often boring, and without seeing that actual application, the light at the end of the tunnel, it is really, really tough. So that's the kind of take that I use in teaching, and making sure that they see what it is being applied for. Even when teaching math, they're asking, well, am I going to use this ever? No, but this and this and this, you need to pass my class. This other thing, parabolic parabola. So you have a parabolic reflector on your roof. You don't even know it. Your flashlight has a parabolic reflector. Everything you throw is a parabola. I was like, oh, okay, and they buy in just a little bit more. For me, just the plain old math and science without an actual application is not as interesting as it otherwise would be. To me, engineering is the application of those math and science principles. And hopefully that's what gets my students engaged just a little bit. As far as the rewards, gosh, well, those are the biggest ones are just starting to come in. And, as I tell some of my students, I switched to teaching because I didn't want to make money anymore. And of course they laugh and they're like, well, you're so dumb. And I said, well, you'll get to know what I mean, once you've aged a bit. So the biggest rewards are just coming in, and that's because I've now been doing this long enough that I've seen successes in a lot of my students. At first, it was, can they pass the class? Are they interested? Do they get good grades? But then students were going on to college, and they were getting into good schools, and maybe some of them pursued engineering that wouldn't otherwise have done it. And even if they didn't, they already knew what it was, so maybe they didn't spend time and money figuring out that they didn't like that particular subject matter. I've often told a student, I just saved your mom $20,000, $30,000 because you didn't have to change your mind, halfway through your first year at UCLA or wherever. Now I've got students that have graduated from all the UCs. Private schools. I've got a couple of young ladies, one at Stanford, another one at Yale, studying engineering. An awesome example was I took some students, this was 7 years ago, to SpaceX. We were lucky enough to be one of the last public groups to go and visit SpaceX, and many people would kill to go visit now. So we went, and among that group was a student of mine who said, gosh, it would be so cool to work here. Well, fast forward 7 years later, after graduating from college, a month ago, he emailed me saying that he had just started at SpaceX as a systems analyst, which was super amazing. And if you were to see the picture, we have a picture that I've sent out. He happens to be standing next to me, and next to him is another student who then earlier this year told me, oh, I just started working at JPL as a mission specialist. And he happens to be a UCI graduate and aerospace and mechanical engineering double major, going on now working with things in space. So those are probably the biggest rewards, because unlike traditional monetary rewards or something to that effect. This is more abstract, right? But it really kind of hits you. And yeah, does it seem trite, maybe also a little bit sentimental? Sure, cliched even, but it is absolutely true. When you see your efforts have inspired another person and have done well and better than you, because I would have never been able to do what some of these kids are doing, that by far makes it the biggest reward.
Fantastic. Very inspirational. Thank you. Last question, Ed. What can you tell us about the next generation of STEM learners?
Gosh, well, I graduated from UCI before the internet, and Dean Green, I think you did too. I would assume that you did too. And back then, if we wanted information, it took a lot of trips to the library. It took a little bit more doing, a lot more research, right? And I often joke with my students that I deserve a little bit more respect because I graduated from college without Google. And whereas now they just go ahead and look for everything. But so I think the biggest challenge now is the exact opposite: the fact that we have way too much information, right? For them, if they have an assignment, the first thing is type it into a search engine. What do they get back? What's on the first page? And then cut and paste possibly, and then move on. Whereas maybe they really should have been spending a little bit more time and diving in, sorting through the information or the misinformation, and really get through to the important stuff. Sometimes I can imagine back in the day being so surrounded with all kinds of information. I tell my students that when I wanted to learn about UCI back in the day, you went to the library, you go to the section where they had the college brochures. And if they didn't have one that was more, 4 or 5 years old, then you would ask, you would write to them and they get something in the mail, 3 weeks later. Whereas now it's 3 seconds later, if that, you get everything you want. So yeah, managing that amount of knowledge is, I consider to be the biggest challenge. And teaching them how to navigate that is the next part of the challenge.
Okay, thank you very much. That ends our interview. Ed, again, congratulations. Speaking as a fellow educator, we're extremely proud of you. And you're well deserving of this award, and best of luck in the future.
Thank you very much.